you can't be disturbed when you're listening to only the best herbs. What's going on? My name is Rysn Bolda, as most of you would know. I'll be the first one to admit I am very late on this week's episode and last week's episode, which I apologize for. I have had some personal things come up, some of which has not been very fun to deal with. Better late than never, though, right? At least I hope so. So, it's been a while since I got to do an episode by myself, which I'm kind of excited for since I haven't been able to do it in so long, thanks to all you wonderful guests that I've had on the show. I always appreciate the guests who've came on the Only the Best Herbs podcast. I never thought I would have so many people involved in this. And the funny part is I don't think a lot of people even know how many guests and how many, like, I go through the list of people that we've had on the show, and I'm amazed that we've had so many people who've been interested in what we're doing. So I just want to say, if you've been a guest on the show, thank you so much. It takes times like the ones I'm going through to really put things in perspective and see all of the collaboration and efforts that people have put in towards, just trying to be helpful, I guess, trying to be helpful with the show, and that tells me that we're on the right track, that we're doing things right, we're making a difference, we're getting the word out there, and people are receptive to it. We had our giveaway that I haven't gotten to address. We've had our 3 winners, so congrats to them. I didn't get to address that in last week's episode, so congrats to the winners. I know that they posted their winnings and whatnot. We had to redo our community pretty much, but it's like flourishing now. It's doing better than ever. So we got our public group now. You can find it as the Only the Best Herbs podcast, community, and store. The store of which has been the last part in getting this going. However, I think that people will be pleasantly surprised with what we have to offer once we get everything locked and loaded. So I alluded to the fact that I am doing this episode solo. I was supposed to do the last week solo, but I met such a great guest that I had to put him on the show right then and there when I had the opportunity. And go listen to that if you know, go listen to episode 2 of season 3. Well, like I said, man, we've had so many awesome guests on the show. So just thank you. Thank you so much to everyone. Sometimes when you're going through a hard time, it really puts things in perspective for you. And I really appreciate it. So does everybody else. So does everybody else at our company, Surgeons LLC. It means a lot. It speaks volumes, in my opinion. In the community, I've talked about doing more live broadcasts in the group, which I really, really want to do at least once a week. I'm hoping to get it started soon. I don't like giving dates anymore because not hitting those dates makes me feel personally not very good. So I'm going to try to stay away from that as much as possible unless it's already done and it's already set in stone. But yeah, we're going to talk about some things today. We're going to jump right into it right now. Today, we're going to talk about how traditional medicine, and we're going to talk about its role in preventing and treating emerging and re-emerging diseases. Obviously, it is not very a secret anymore on how traditional medicines are being looked at as the standard of which modern medicine is using to get more ideas, understand these diseases, and even how to treat some of these diseases in the future, as we've already been doing since man-made medicine has been made available. Infectious diseases have been threatening human health all around the world. We've been doing a lot of efforts and research that has enabled us to overcome, I would say, most of these diseases through the use of antiviral and antibiotic agents, a lot of which are discovered and not discovered. Now, we've talked about microorganisms before and how they have the capability to adapt and even mutate over time. Antibiotics and antivirals, they become less and less effective. I am not a doctor, so there are a lot of challenges in treating these infections, such as failure of the microorganisms to respond to therapeutic agents has led us to more chronic infections, complications, and even worse, losses of life. That's been the problem about a lot of these antibiotics and antivirals, is sure it works short term, but in the grand scheme of things, these organisms, they mutate. If you can remember, not so long ago, we had COVID-19, right? And the pandemic. I can't tell you how many different antibiotics, even the shot, for example, there has been a lot of, what did you have to get, like a shot and then like 3 or 4 booster shots or something crazy like that? Like, it was ridiculous. And then there was just a shot for that shot, and we get down this endless time warp of shots. And before we got any further than that, I think people started to catch on that, hey, this isn't working. Just like they've been having problems for a long time. It's no secret that we need a more potent, effective, and versatile therapy. It needs to help us prevent and stop the old and newly coming of diseases, because we all know that there's going to be more in the future, and we haven't even began to scratch the surface on the ones we are currently facing right now. Most of the pharmaceutical agents currently used can be traced to their origin because of natural products, one way or another or form. There is like a really big potential of these products, and a lot of it has not been realized. We have numerous natural resources, most of which have not been explored or analyzed. This means we kind of need to continually support each other and research and do all this analysis of ancient treatments. Explore its like full potential, right? We need to keep digging and digging. And we need to use those to offer maybe an alternate, or we talk about this all the time. Like, this is like the whole point of the show, is to have that extra option. We have our company, which I'll talk about later, but that's our whole thing, is to give people another safer option in the event they are not trying to go the pharmaceutical route, narcotics route, things of that nature. So going back to COVID-19, it kind of took the world by surprise, I would say. Millions of people died, destroyed the economy, and just a lot of people were miserable. Given that almost all the nations suffered in some way, scientists worldwide came together finally, and we have yet to have a comprehensive cure. However, there are many antivirals and vaccines that are being used currently with verifying degrees of success. Prevention of the disease is only measured to avoid its most intense effects. Can be modulated using multiple vaccines that have been developed, and also with natural supplements working hand in hand, right? During the COVID-19 pandemic, we had communities from all over the world who have been advised to adhere to these health protocols and their local communities to avoid getting infected, transmitting that virus to others, and we've came up with this nutrition-based intervention, and it is shown to play a very big role in preventing and managing these infections, a lot of them that affect the respiratory system. When I start talking about things like this that sound very medical, I don't mean any disrespect to doctors out there who've put in a lot of work. I'm just like to put that out there. I'm not here trying to claim I 100% know what I'm talking about. I'm just going over studies that have been done, and I always want healthcare professionals to know that take this very seriously. It's not a joke. Just showing some support in some little way, will add to the credibility of this show. So if you have a problem, like if you feel like, please refer to our email, because we love to hear feedback. And I know that I've been kind of getting really scientific, probably more than I normally do, but that's for a reason. And, I'm not claiming to be a doctor by any means. I try to say that as much as possible. But here are a couple, how do I put this? Here are a couple statistics that you might want to look at. So, approximately 25% of the contemporary drugs that are out there are derived from plants, and 60% of the anti-infectious drugs in the market and under development are of natural product origin. 75% of liver disease patients in the US and Europe consume herbal medications. Now, this is a really interesting one because in Germany alone, the use of a natural herb is called silymarin, and it is a complex antioxidant natural product, and its total value in Germany alone has surpassed 180 million. So there is definitely some type of interest in this natural herb, and I think it is something we may hear more about here in the United States pretty soon. My whole point: infectious diseases are really serious, and natural products should be studied more, which seems to be some of the European countries' focus right now, which is really cool. So that's my really scientific data and explanation of the infectious diseases and natural products and supplements to treat them. I would look more into that if you are interested. I use the ncbi.gov. I use them to get a lot of my information. I use PNC. I use a lot of different resources. So look into that. Ask AI. I ask AI sometimes, and it definitely helps me out. But right now is we're going to take a moment to listen to a word from our sponsors, Surgeons LLC.
All natural Michigan-made products. CBD. Surgeons ships worldwide and delivers all over Southeast Michigan. For info, go to cbdsurgeons.shop and cbdsurgeons.shop. cbdsurgeons.shop.
My whole rant with all this scientific stuff is the whole point of the show. We talk a lot about fun topics. We talk about cannabis. We talk about microbials. We talk about, herbs that make you feel good, right? We've talked about elderberry. We've talked about turmeric. We've talked about we talk about just, we've talked about a lot of fun topics, I guess, and which is kind of the direction we are about to head right now. I'm not sure if a lot of people have heard of the new hemp-derived THC product. It's called THCA, and it is a very interesting cannabinoid. Before THC is heated, it is a non-psychoactive property of the hemp plant. But once it is smoked, burned, put under heat, it turns into THC. However, it is at 4 times the potency of your normal THC molecule. That allows THCA to be sold on the open market federally. Sure, it has is a non-psychoactive abbreviation of THC, but however, it is completely different. Non-psychoactive. They are looking into possible uses and treatments with the use of THCA in its non-psychoactive form. So it's not all about getting high, although we know most of the people are going to look at this and see it, all the white crystals on it, and be, because its flower looks very, very extraordinary. I would look it up right now. The flower is just caked in white crystals, and, it almost looks unreal. But, and I originally, before I started doing my research into THCA, I thought that this white crystallized substance that was coating the flower I thought that it was added. I didn't think it was something that they grew, but you would be very surprised that THCA is actually a natural component to the hemp plant. Clearly, there needs to be some type of genetic, alterations to make it do that in the first place, but THCA is grown naturally from the hemp plant. So it's not an additive, it's not, I guess supposedly, you possibly could do that. People, I'm sure, will do that. That's defeating the purpose of, staying natural and stuff. So, THCA, we're going to dive into that a little bit more. It needs to be, in my opinion, researched a little bit more. That's kind of where we're going to go right now. It's kind of a fun topic, but at the same time, it's kind of a serious topic, right? So, THCA stands for tetrahydrocannabinolic acid. Basically, is celebrated for its non-psychoactive properties, which makes it completely different from THC. In its raw form, THCA may occur or can occur through a process called decarboxylation. It is a chemical reaction initiated by heat. So basically, heating it up in one form. Some people do dabs, the flower. Pretty much the only ways I'm aware of with THCA, but just burning in some capacity. Decarboxylation. There is a critical place where when THCA is converted into THC, it basically means the release of carbon dioxide, is what that means. Decarboxylation. So now that we got a good understanding of THCA and what it means and how we get THC, now we don't have THC. Here's some 5 important facts to know. THCA's psychoactive potential and therapeutic use doesn't produce psychoactive effects in its raw form. However, when heated, like we've talked about, it has shown potential in treating conditions like nausea, seizures, inflammation, and providing neuroprotective benefits due to its interactions with the CB1 receptors in the body. Quote unquote. This is from Leafly. Similar to Delta 9 THC, THCA falls under the same regulatory framework, meaning its legality varies depending on your local cannabis laws, but it is definitely important for you to know or be aware of the regulations in your area. Research into THCA has suggested its effectiveness in treating a variety of conditions. Beyond the role of THCA's THC-inducing effects, it has been studied for anti-nausea, anti-seizure, anti-inflammatory, and those neuroprotective properties we were just talking about. The findings support that in its raw cannabis consumption, basically these findings are saying you should add the non-heated version, flour, crystals, to uncooked foods so you can retain its unpsychoactive benefits. So raw THCA edibles, not with any connection to heat. There are very promising animal studies on THCA, but human trials are needed to really understand its properties, safety, and to kind of give us a better grasp on the therapeutic and potential applications. That's even from the Business Insider, Various products and consumption methods are available for THCA, including vape pens, THCA rosin, the flower itself. It allows for discreet use and to maintain high levels of THCA until heated, which then induces those psychoactive effects going right to THC. So those are some 5 important things to know. They kind of overlap with each other, but you get my point. You get what we're trying to say here. Try adding some raw THCA products to as a person who suffers with seizures in the past, seeing the anti-seizure thing kind of piques my interest a little bit. Like, I just got to eat some raw THCA flower. Like, is that what would help me? Neuroprotective properties. I mean, that's got to be helpful. I'm not sure where they're getting, all these information from, but it has to be an in-depth study of some sort. We have some THCA flower on our website that is going to be available April 4th. So if you're listening to this right now, it is available. And it looks really good. We're going to have pre-rolls available. And we're also going to have 3.5 gram jars available too of the flour. Last time it did not last long the last time we put it on the website, so definitely get in on this before we run out again. Trying to keep the supply steady. Make sure you join our community if you haven't already. It is Only the Best Herbs podcast, community, and store. It's awesome community, awesome people, awesome. Doing some lives. Officially, I'm going to start doing some lives on Saturdays. On Saturdays. I just got to work up the balls to do it, basically. So, plan for Saturdays. This episode's being released late, so there's going to be another episode coming out here in the next day or two, and then after that, I'm going to try doing lives, and then hopefully by that time, we're going to have everything caught up to where we need to be. Got the live done, got the next podcast episode coming up. Well, I'll be on track here, so I apologize. You guys are the best. I also wanted to talk even about CBDA, which would kind of coincide with the antiviral things I was talking about in the episode in the beginning. CBDA is actually an antiviral. A lot of people use it for the safeguard against COVID-19, so that would also fit. We are going to cut it off here, though. Do you want to be featured on Season 3 of Only the Best Herbs? Get in contact with us today. Reach out to customer.relations@surgeonsolutions.com.